Hi guys, welcome to our live Facebook chat with Edward Kitsis and Adam Horowitz, two very busy gentlemen. I'm Eric Goldman. I'm the executive editor of IGN TV at IGN.com. We're going to talk about two shows this hour. We're going to talk about Once Upon a Time and Tron Uprising, starting out with Once Upon a Time in the first half. So before we get to questions, guys, we're going to jump right in. We've got a exclusive first look clip for you from the season finale of Once Upon a Time, which is airing this Friday. So let's watch that clip first. Oh, Sunday, sorry.
Henry, can you hear me? Come on, Henry, wake up, please! Come on, Henry, come on, you can do it! No, I am not going anywhere!
There's no pupil response. What happened? Did he fall? Hit his head?
He ate this. It's poison.
His airway's clear. Involvement? Any convulsing?
He took a bite of this and then he just collapsed. So run the test for arsenic or bleach or Drano or whatever could have done this to him.
The boy is showing no symptoms that would suggest neurotoxin, so whatever's going on, this is not the culprit.
So what else could it be?
That's what we're trying to find out.
It's gonna be okay though, right?
Right now, we just need to stabilize him. Because he's slipping away. Is there anything else that you can remember? Any little detail?
I already told you everything. Do something!
Look, I understand you're frustrated, Miss Swan. I do. But I need something to treat. And right now, there is no explanation. It's like...
Like magic.
So we want to take your questions. So at facebook.com/onceabc, please let us know what you'd like to ask these guys. But let me start off asking about that clip we just saw. Obviously, Emma, all season, she has not been a believer. Are we finally seeing here the acceptance?
You gotta watch the episode.
Yeah, I would say that, you know, she's been very frustrating in her belief, but I think, you know, Henry has finally pulled the nuclear option, and, you know, I think that question will get answered this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, she's been tested all season in many ways, and this is probably the most intense test yet.
And with Henry, you know, was it just, you know, you decided that what would it be? What would he decide to do that would finally make her take that leap and putting his own life in jeopardy?
Well, I mean, I think part of it was finding, you know, like Henry is so desperate. He was kind of taking for him the ultimate kind of act of faith, and you know, and taking a big risk.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me take our first question here. We've got one from Barbara, and you know, she asks you, wanting to go a little bit back to the beginning, what inspired you to create such a fantastic show?
Well, you know, these stories were some of the first, I think, that both of us really remember hearing, and they've kind of stuck with us forever. And you know, they were the first time you know, just kind of let your imagination run wild, you know?
When I was a little kid, the first movie I saw was a Snow White re-release, and it terrified me. And I think that really stuck with me for a long time, seeing the evil queen and all that. And, you know, when we sat down to do this show and to think about what kind of show we wanted to do, those stories were just such a part of us that it became a lot of fun to dig into them.
Has it been almost an embarrassment of riches of holding yourself back because there are so many, you know, great fairy tales and not throwing them all in at once?
Yeah, no, I mean, you want to take all the toys off the shelf and play with them, but, you know, we've definitely, there are characters we'd like to still explore, and, you know, we had a lot of fun this year bringing, you know, like our cast, and then as well as introducing people like, you know, the Mad Hatter.
Yeah, I mean, one of the joys in writing this show is the mashup, which is throwing, you know, Little Red Riding Hood together with Snow White and seeing what happens.
We have our next question here. It's from Charlene, and she asks, whatever happened to Maleficent?
That's a good question,
That's a good
Charlene.
question.
I think you should watch this weekend.
Watch this weekend.
You know, you mentioned the Mad Hatter, which is, I think, a great addition to the show. You know, is that one of those where you do have to kind of think about, like, what's the right time and what is the right way to bring in a character like that?
I mean, we knew very early on we wanted to do an episode where we would see the Mad Hatter, where we'd be able to go into that world, and it's exactly as you say. It's finding what feels like the right time in the season and the right way to introduce another toy to put on the playing field.
We did see the Mad Hatter last week's episode. I don't know if you can say. Might we see him again in the finale? I
would say that he will be making an appearance this weekend.
Gotcha. So we have next question here. It's from Amanda, and I was going to ask you about this if she didn't. She asked about there's a huge fan following for Rumpelstiltskin and Belle. Will we be seeing any more episodes with the two of them?
Well, we'll be seeing it. There's one episode left, so I would be very disappointed as a fan if they didn't make an appearance in it.
Yes, it would be quite disappointing.
Yeah.
That is one of those things where, you were kind of taking a leap there because you were making a big change from Beauty and the Beast by taking Rumpelstiltskin and making him the Beast character. And not only did it go over well, but yes, I've seen that as one of the most popular elements with fans. Is it just, a great surprise to you when you put something out there and people connect with it like that?
Yeah, because the whole idea is we never wanted to retell the stories. We were much more interested in telling our version of them or telling you the missing blanks, but you're always worried that people will reject it. They'll reject your version of it, and I think we were very excited when people like that.
It was incredibly gratifying to get that kind of response, and we're very fortunate to have the cast that we do have, and for Rumple and Belle having Robert Carlyle and Emily DeRavin do those parts was just amazing to watch them bring it to life.
Next question here. Hadi, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, asks, if the curse is broken, would the story be shifted entirely to the fairy tale world?
Well, I mean, if the curse is ever broken, who knows what will happen?
Yeah. I mean, magic, there's always a price and there's an unpredictability to it, so, who knows?
Who knows where they'll go?
I would think some of these characters, they've been trapped in Storybrooke, and I'd be like, hey, I want to go see Vegas. I want to go check out some
Exactly.
other places.
I mean, there's a lot of places for the people to go to. Mr. Gold, I'm sure, would love to go to Atlantic City. Yeah.
You have, this season had, how much did you have to think about going in, what the rules were of people coming and going? Because there have been times when that's been very, very specific.
A lot. I mean, we spent
days of our lives.
No, I mean, we spent the first few weeks with the writers kind of going over all these rules and all the big ideas about how the show works, and so that we would have our own sort of internal logic that we can apply to how we write the show and tell the stories going forward.
And next question here from Mallory, who asks, General, will we see more of Rumpelstiltskin's son?
Will we? Well, we won't be this season.
Is that something you had to juggle a lot because, you do have a huge cast of characters and going into the finale, and, what stories could you deal with in those that 1 hour?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you don't want to answer everything in one season. There's still things left to be explored and avenues. And
I'll say, while we don't see him the rest of the season, his absence is felt, and as we saw a few weeks ago in the return episode, Bay is a big part of Rumple and what
his motivations.
And his motivation. So that plays a key part in what's going on going forward.
With the flashbacks, and this is something on Lost that sometimes happen too, they're not necessarily we're not seeing the flashbacks in the order they happen.
Yeah.
So is that something else where you have to really think about, because you might see one piece of thing and then go back later and put what comes before it to make sure you're charting all that?
Yeah, in the writer's room we have a timeline.
Okay.
And we literally, it covers the entire room, and it's a timeline in order of when did, Snow lose her father, when did she meet Charming, when did she get married, and, we have the whole thing kind of timeline.
Next question here we've got from Katie, who asks on, do you plan on limiting the number of seasons for once, which I guess basically she's asking, is this a story you see going a particular amount of seasons as opposed to, could go on for an indefinite number of years?
I mean, I think it's a hard question. I think the real question is, we don't want the show to suck, so we are going to do our best to make sure that every season that we do is great. And, I think that was great on Lost, that to end it ourselves, and of course, we love this show, and when we feel the time is right, we hope we have the same opportunity.
Right, it's our great hope to be able to one day end the show on the terms we want and finish the story we want, the way we want to do it, and that's what we're hoping to do.
When you started out, how much did you think ahead as far as season arcs versus series arcs?
Well, we really, we looked at the first 13 because, we were like, well, what are the chances? It's going to go an entire season and not get canceled. And then when we realized, but of course, even though you say that, we talked quietly about what would the end of season 1 be and maybe what would a season 2 be. And you kind of give yourself some ideas, but you also allow yourself the freedom to find new things along the way.
Yeah, and you always, at least for us, we try to plant seeds.